Hey, hi, this is Mike Uline with the Circle of Legal Trust. I've got a real special treat for you today. I've got William Rock and I've got Molly Youngblood. These are both up and coming and established talents with Google, big timers, and we got a real special treat because my site, which was a big time PR6 site back when that mattered, is going to be dissected today by them for all of the on-page factors and probably some on-site issues as well that are dragging it down like a boat anchor with the new panda and the penguin and all this other crazy stuff since Hummingbird came into existence. And so what I would like to do is turn it over to them and let them nail my site and show you all the problems with my site so you don't make the same mistake. Here you go, guys.
Well, I want to first say thanks for having me on the show and Molly on the show as well. I think it's an opportunity for so many people to get a chance to just see what a real audit does and what other things can be learned out of it. So, I'm just a conversion analytics specialist doing my passion in teaching. Molly?
Hi everyone, my name is Molly Youngblood Geiger and I'm a website designer developer out of Jacksonville, Florida, and I'm super excited to be a part of this website audit today. I'm looking forward to taking a look at Mike's site and reviewing it and coming up with the best practices so we can get it optimized.
All right, so basically let's go ahead and start. What we actually put together is it was more of a site review. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for a moment. Give me a second while I do that. Oops, wrong one. Gotta love that. Let's see, can you see the screen now? Let me know if you're seeing the screen, Molly.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. It looks like it's actually doing some wonky stuff on my side, but can you see actually go all the way down because you can see the error report and everything else? Just want to verify.
Yes, I can see the error report.
So basically what we've done is we've gone through a couple different tools, some free and some paid. And so what I'm looking for on the site that we're looking at today is going to be elinelaw.com. And basically what we're also looking for is not necessarily the front end side of things right now, but what we want to see is really what's happening behind the scenes. And so what we've actually done is we've created a site audit, and what the site audit was actually able to do is just to show us a real basic idea of things. What we are showing, so what we're looking at right now is we've got something like 174 internal links that are broken. There's a couple internal images that are broken. So little things like that we can start to, go in and start to clean up, really. So when we start looking at even the internal broken links, we can see that in this report, it shows us the URL of that link, right? And so when we start to look at that, we can start to go back to the actual page it was on. And so you can open up the page directly here, and then find it pretty quickly, and then go back into your WordPress or content management system or even website and fix that pretty quickly just by knowing where this is. So now you can go and view source, right? And then you can look for that link back in this report. And this is actually done through SEMrush. It's not a free tool, but there is actually a free trial, so you can still type in some information and get in that, but the site audit is actually part of the program. But what I wanted to showcase in here is just how easy it is to look at the report. When we go even further into some of the warnings, what we will actually see is even like things like Flash. Some of the pages are actually having Flash. Well, that's something that's been talked about quite a bit in the recent past days. And with that, we click on this, and we can easily and quickly identify those pages that have Flash on them. So if we open that up, we then actually see the page. And I actually have Flash disabled in my browser, even though I'm using Chrome. It's under your settings and everything else. Molly, do you have a second to talk about the Flash?
Yeah, so with Flash, it's one of those things that is a technology that 5 or 6 years ago, it it was accepted, it wasn't penalized. But nowadays, Flash is one of those type of things that they are decommissioning in terms of use for laptop and desktop, especially mobile. It's just one of those type of technologies that once upon a time it was great to have. But nowadays, it's not. I won't say it's frowned upon, but it's definitely not going to be something that's going to help your website rank. It's something that, I personally don't use Flash anymore, just because of the fact that it's something that it doesn't render the way in a friendly way, and so it's one of those things that if I had to personally recommend, to use Flash or not use Flash, I would say don't use Flash anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And I normally try to stay away from that. There's other ways to do it through HTML5 and other plugins that will actually be compatible across browsers. The other cool thing in this report is when we start looking back in the warnings, we can then see even a little bit more depth. Even like, for example, we've got like 47 pages that have low text to HTML ratio. So that's something I might want to look into and say, okay, what is the ratio? Is there actually a lot of text in here? And is this a very important page? So you've got, if we just open up the motorcycle accident page, so basically what we've got here, so we go back to this, so that's a weird one, right? Why that would actually come... Okay, that one stumped me, sorry. That's a weird one. That shouldn't have actually blocked it on that page. My apologies. There's actually a ton of content. No? I have to dissect this one a little bit more, Mike, before I actually say anything about that one. Anyhow, let's just jump into even things like the Webmaster Tools. So I'm going to bounce a little bit here, because we talked a little bit about the actual errors, and when we go back into the report that I put together for you, it kind of goes through what we were just kind of talking about, but notifying yourself to say, okay, once a month, jumping in, run a site audit, and then go through and fix the little things that might have just added a little bit of problem for user experience. And then when you start getting all that stuff cleaned up, then you start really focusing over here on the search analytics to kind of see what's happening, especially when you can go and look at, like, for example, a set of pages. So what are my top pages? Like this one we want to highlight here because it's gotten a lot of traffic, and I'm sure it's actually got things about the degrees, so law degrees. What we're looking at right now is only the clicks and position, or sorry, impressions and position right now, and I'm going to switch over to queries. And so what we're doing now is looking at just the in-depth information from that one page, and now if we look down here, we can start to actually see what queries are being typed into search engine, or to the search engine, that are actually finding that page. What I like to do is come over here to the actual position tab and resort that so I can see the top positions first. And then when you start to look at that, you've got law school without college. There's a lot of nice little terms in here, and that's kind of where you start to explore, and you can start to say, okay, well, if you're getting that much traffic to that page and these type of queries, now you start taking it into maybe your Google Analytics and starting to see, okay, well, where are my customers, or where are my visitors coming from? And looking at things like the geolocation, for example. And if we look at yours, Mike, we're actually looking at the California. I dug a little bit deeper because that's your focus area. And so we can start to see, Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego, a lot of these areas that you service. And then the other thing is I really focus on the bounce rate on this point, because I start to get an idea of kind of where they're coming from, and if they're actually sticking, are they going a little bit deeper in the page? This one is basically about 2 pages deep, about 51 seconds on the page. But that's not an end-all be-all, because you can actually end up going through and looking at your acquisition. So basically what you're looking for is your behavior model. And when we actually start looking at that, you can go down here to site content, and you can go to all pages. And so when we start to even go a little bit deeper, here's basically that search or that page that we were just looking at, right? And so we can start to identify even with a bounce rate of this one. So there might be some areas in that section that we can really fine tune as far as maybe the visitor experience was they landed because it was a good term query, you came up, maybe had a good title tag or description, they clicked, but then they're actually not staying. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd just like to quickly chime in about bounce rate. Really, what happens is when somebody shows up on a website, our goal is we have 3 seconds to catch the attention of the user. And so what we want to do is we want to provide interesting content to that user, whether it be text or videos or images, something that's going to grab the user's attention and make sure that they're going to stay on that page and read the content. For example, in this particular example, you talked about the motorcycle page and the law cases that surround that. So in that example, I would think probably video would be an excellent source of something that you could put. Maybe you could put a testimonial of a client of yours that's already been on. That's used your services, that maybe you represented them in the case, but something that's going to be interesting to the user where they're going to go, oh, well, this person went to this law firm and they represented them and they won the case, so maybe I need to re-watch this video to find out exactly what information is being explained about this particular service that this lawyer offers.
Absolutely, and right here on the page, what we're looking at is the page that we were just seeing in the analytics. And I think your example about YouTube, he can take this image right here and actually embed a YouTube video that does just that. Explains a little bit more about becoming a lawyer.
Well, and I'm just quickly going to add to the fact that Google Brand Labs a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, they did a study and they've actually come up with a statistic that they estimate by 2017 that video marketing or YouTube videos are going to increase by 74%. And to me, that's a huge number. And if you really think about it, when somebody's cruising your website, if they're surfing the web, they find your website, they want to find information. That is the whole reason why they're searching. And so if we can provide a very easy resource for them to find information, like a video or YouTube video, then that makes perfect sense to me to include that on a web page.
Absolutely. Great feedback on that. So let's move into a little bit of other, let's go into some of the free tools I like to play with. And some of the reports I like to look for is like speed. So when we talk about how fast the web page loads, is there JavaScript? What are the resources? Are the images optimized? So what I use, it's a free tool. It's called GTmetrix. It's gtmetrix.com. Excuse me. And with that, you type in the URL. It goes through, scans, but it also gives you a lot of detail as we scroll down here. Going from page speed as well as Y-slow, but then also how big is the file. So if I'm downloading a lot of file size on a home page or internal page, let's go back to mobile a little bit and how fast will it actually load on mobile, and if it's a large file size, then it might actually help or hurt the data plan of that visitor. So being cautious about speed and everything else is a key. But here we've got, if we drop down, it's going to give us all the information about the parsing of the JavaScript. And it's also going to bring us in suggestions. The other neat tool that we have in here is that you can come back up here to the top and you can actually download a PDF report. And the PDF, you have 2 choices, but I always choose the included recommendations because it does have all of this information that we're seeing in the drop down here. It's already in the PDF, so it's easy to go and send this to your web design company or your marketing agency and say, can you help us with this? But just another free tool. It's a great little tool that helps me every single time. The other one's BrowserStack. And so we started talking a little bit about mobile. What I also like to do is run this free tool, which is focused on the responsive. So what you end up doing is you drop in the URL, and then it starts to show you, and we'll run it again, but it starts to go through and show you what your website's going to look on each one of these platforms. So right now it's like Galaxy 5, you got the Galaxy Note, the iPhone 6, the Nexus 4. So all the different resolutions and screens are up here. It takes a little bit of time to do, but again, it's going to actually give you, when you click on these images, it's going to show you a thumbnail, and you can still scroll. I was hoping one of these was going to show up here in a second because I just refreshed it. But just another good tool to look for when you're building a site.
And I would actually add to that, William, that Google does also offer a mobile-friendly test tool. That's totally free. You just go Google mobile-friendly test tool, and you can take any URL, pop it in there, and it's going to come up with a report that's going to tell you, yes, your website's mobile-friendly, you did a great job. Or if it happens not to be mobile-friendly, it's going to say, hey, we have a problem here, it's not mobile-friendly, and it's going to give you recommendations on what you can do to make it mobile-friendly.
Absolutely. I'm running the scan on it right now, so I just dropped that into the tool. It is almost done scanning. But again, it's free. It's just another little thing to add to your arsenal and to helping protect your company and long life of not getting bit by the panda. So basically it says, awesome, this page is mobile friendly, but it offers additional suggestions here. So the page uses 8 resources which are blocked by the robots.txt. This is something, Molly, you brought this up to me last night, and you also mentioned down here you've got 55 resources on the page that could not be loaded.
Yeah, I did bring that up last night. I actually did a page source of the website to look at what type of metadata was installed and what's going on in terms of search engine optimization. And although the website does have some metadata tags, it definitely could have more. I'd like to explain to people that a search engine, its main function is to gather information. And the more information that you tell a web or a search engine, the better page rank you're going to get. And the way that we accomplish this is something called metadata. And what metadata is it's hidden code on a web page that tells a search engine about your website. Now, I'm not going to bore you with all the different types of metadata, but I am going to quickly go over a few different variations. For example, one of the very important things about metadata is verifications with a search engine, meaning you verified your site with Google, you verified your site with Yahoo. There's several other different places where you can verify your website, like Alexa, World of Trust. In addition to that, you have your common metadata tags, which is your description, your title, that type of thing. And then we have something known as open graph tags and other social networking tags like Twitter cards and Pinterest verifications. And then if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty, you can get into canonical links, which will actually, if you have several different pages on a website, you can actually identify this is this own page, this is its own page. And what happens is whenever we include all of this metadata, it gets indexed by the different search engines that are out there. And essentially what happens is it's a real simple concept. The more information you tell a search engine about a website, the better page rank you get. That's it. There's really nothing more to it than that. And so anytime I do an audit for a client, it's one of the very first things that I look at is what type of metadata do they have on there, and what can we do to improve it.
Absolutely. And I was pulling up the notes from our site review because you actually added that information down here, and then also the general meta tags. And then you also even mentioned the geo-positioning tags and also the open graph tags. There's a lot of different things that you can do, but at the same time is thinking, how can you use that in the same environment, right? And then also fix other things in like the site audit, right? So then you're just kind of adding to, just like the video example on the page. We're just adding to the capability and the capability of the search engine having an easier time of understanding what our company is about.
Right. Well, and a very common mistake that I see that business owners do is they go in and they put some metadata in, but it's like the bare minimum. And I really don't understand that. And maybe it's because they're using a content management system, which when you use a content management system, and I'm just going to come out and say it, you're kind of limiting yourself, because a WordPress site or Joomla or Drupal or any of those different type of content management systems out there, they provide the option for you to include some metadata. But if I look at an HTML or HTML5 website where I can go in and I can manipulate it, I can do whatever I want to it, I literally can go in and add 50 different meta description tags versus say just a title tag or description or keywords or open graph. I can go in and I can literally tell the search engine, I'm at this longitude, I'm at this latitude. Yep. And when you're a brick and mortar location, that's crucial. That's crucial to tell a search engine, this is where I'm located. So that's just one of the observations I've seen regarding search engine optimization versus using a content management system versus using a HTML or HTML5 website.
Absolutely, and basically you have to figure out what works best for you and where you're going to be at. But you made a good point as far as local. There's a lot of local type tags, and you can also do schema for lawyers, schema markup. So that's another opportunity down the road as well. I want to jump back in real quick to SEMrush real quick. And I pulled this up because one of the things in my site audit that I found was, there was a lot of, here's where back in 2010, and what happened was he got a lot of traffic. So basically went up to about 13,000, peaked up about 22,000, and that was in the month of August 2011. But right after that, he started to fall, and then kind of rebound a little bit more. And we can see a kind of a pattern happening. You've got December, we've got January, February, but then here's where it kind of sinks from March to April, right? And so that's the first beginning of the Panda algorithm, right? And so it kind of took a little bit of drop here, but then came back, right, in December 2012, but then also again took a final hit back in about June to August, and he's been pretty steady. When I looked at the analytics, it's pretty comparative to the same pattern that I'm seeing as far as a waterfall effect. But when we dig a little bit deeper into that, what I was looking for, let's go back into my site review real quick. When we look at, sorry, I'm scrolling really fast, but when I look at this, so basically, here's the same pattern that we had in SEMrush, right? And so, again, this is third-party data, so I only use numbers as the baseline. It's not true, accurate numbers. That's where you're going to get that from your Google Analytics dashboard. So what I look for are the patterns, kind of like what I went through before on that last slide. I started here. We're basically, getting a little bit of traffic, but in February, he climbs up. September, he climbs up again. And then we have kind of a little bit of movement, but then everything is kind of floored here. Comes back in December 2012 like we showed, but then here's back down in the same rankings. And here's the last one, July 15th. Sorry, July 2015. We're basically at a pretty low traffic level. So basically when we look at that report, it's kind of straight flatline. But I think that just by going through and modifying some of those pages, can definitely help you, Mike, by just cleaning things up like we talked about the flash, maybe some broken links, the images, because that all plays into your visitor experience. So if somebody's navigating through your website and they end up on a different place, or something that they didn't broke, for example, you might actually lose that person, and that turns into a bounce as well. For example, the other thing that I found that would cause a bounce, Mike, is going to be like, for example, we go into like attorneys, right? And what I want you to see is basically the URL does change. And Mike, you and I talked about that you're working on rebuilding this entire site and getting rid of all the subdomains that you have here as well. And 301 redirecting them to where they need to be on the www subdomain. So I think, when you look at this, so we just clicked on, practice areas, and we went to a subdomain, and there actually is quite a few subdomains in here. So what I was looking at, and I'm not going to go over them all really quickly, but when we start looking at like these ones, like San Francisco, motorcycle accident, Santa Monica, cruise ship accidents, San Bernardino, Long Beach, Manhattan Beach. So a long time ago, there was a way to, people actually just created these pages so they can better rank for local search. And so the game's not, it's kind of changed a little bit. There's a lot of things that have changed, but I think, if you wanted to rank for like San Francisco, you can create a subfolder that's basically just San Francisco and all the information that encompasses that law firm in that area. What do you think about that, Molly?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I think it's important. A long time ago, we had some different strategies that people would use to try and optimize their website for search, but those have since gone the way of all good things. There's actually a tool that businesses can use. It's called Google My Business. I strongly recommend that you get signed up and set up with that and get your website verified, not only with the Google Webmaster Tools, which is now known as Google Search Console, but also Google My Business. It's pretty simple to get set up. You just go in and register for an account, and then you click the Verify Listing. You take that snippet of code, add it onto your web page, and then go ahead and upload it to your server or your web host provider, whatever you're using, in order to host your website. But those are some really good techniques. Honestly, I could sit and talk a whole hour about Google My Business, so I'm not going to go into it too much and off-page optimization. Maybe we can have a hang about that next week. But yeah, I totally agree with what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so basically, like, the reason why I also brought up the subdomains, Mike, and Molly, is, we were talking about all these, drops and ranks, and then what you end up doing is you look at, okay, well, maybe I found, some broken links, on-page stuff, and now I've got some subdomain, maybe possible issues, and that's where I use, the Moz report, because the Google Algorithm Change History report, you can do a Google search for it and just type in Google Algorithm updates, and it'll be the first thing that shows up normally. But with this, we look back at our timeline, right? And our timeline goes back in here. So I'm going, okay, well, what happened in the time frame of December 2011, and then right here where it starts to drop, about September 2011 to October, right? So when you go back into the Moz report, and we go down to 2011, so then we actually go into, okay, so here's a couple different things that kind of went through. So you've got the Panda 3.1, you've got the 10-pack, which is kind of a whole bunch of different things. What else do we have? So freshness update November. So here's an October. Basically, Google's announcing that they're encrypting search queries. So this basically gives me an idea of what may have happened. And then what I would then go into and build annotations with inside my Google Analytics and just have little notes that basically the time frame. So when we go back even to this report, I go, okay, well, in my Google Analytics, I can go, okay, from February, what happened, or what happened in April 2012, or what happened from the last 2014 to 2015. You can kind of get that pattern and get a better idea of really what happened to your site. And as you're going through this, it already gives you some really detailed information. Plus, you can go, okay, well, I don't quite understand the Panda Flux in October, so let's take a little bit closer look. We've got a link now that goes away from Moz, but it talks about, what happened. So October 19th, 2011, Vanessa Fox actually wrote an article about Panda 3. Right? So now you have an opportunity as a company to start digging and learning a little bit more about what you might have been penalized with, and then how you can actually fine-tune and come back from it. And that kind of brings us back to the whole, this whole site audit. So when we start looking at errors and we start looking at, broken links or even, returns at 4XX, so that's multiple different messages. You get 404, so basically not found, and you can actually see that, the broken link. So going through here and just making the modifications makes a huge difference. So if we click on that, basically we go right to a 404.
I would actually add to that, William, that going back to the Google Analytics, that there's so much more that you can bring into Google Analytics to really look at your whole picture of really what's going on online in terms of bringing in your social signals, meaning if you're set up for Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and all those different social networks, you can actually bring in that data into Google Analytics and take a look at what's going on with my social networks. If you use a social sharing tool such as like Buffer or Hootsuite or HubSpot, there's several of them out there, you can bring that data into Google Analytics as well, so you can take a look at what's going on there. It's like I tell people, it's one thing to have a website. Obviously, you have to have a website so people know you're out there. But it's really about how you market that website. And then in terms of marketing the website, well, how are you analyzing the data from that website or your social signals? Or if you decide to maybe do a Google AdWords campaign, you can bring those results into Google Analytics as well. So I think those are all things that a business owner needs to take into consideration as to, okay, well, I have a website, and then get in there, optimize it, kind of like what we're doing now. We're kind of going through it with a fine-tooth comb. But then once you've addressed those issues with a website, well, what am I going to do in terms of marketing the website, in terms of what am I doing on social, what am I doing with AdWords, what am I doing with video marketing or email marketing or mobile marketing. So there's different avenues that we can discover on how we can actually skyrocket a business online.
Absolutely, for sure. And I'll go back into even showing a couple of different reports remind me in a second, but I'm going to go back into social because there's some good information that people can see and glean really fast on what is my social doing. And then, even for that matter, conversion funnels. So utilizing funnel reports, did they get to my contact page, or did they buy my product, or did they download my ebook? Stuff like that. I want to jump back over here to annotations because I mentioned, utilizing the Moz report just recently. So where did I put you? You are here. So let's open back up Moz because I closed that one down. But now I want to show you how to do a quick annotation. So, like for example, I'm just going to copy this one, but I'll go back into in here, and so I can go back and find. I'm not going to actually find the exact date, but when I click on it, I can come down here. Sorry, not click on that anymore. It used to be you click on that, double click, and then basically it adds an annotation. But now you come over here. You can create this annotation and then basically just paste it, right? So now this happened July. So basically I would just change this to July 17th. All right? And so now I then save this. I can save this as private or shared. Shared is actually going to put it across to everybody. But right now I don't have access to that, so I can only do private. But let's go ahead and put this in. So now there's a marker right here, right? So now if I did like Molly, you mentioned a marketing campaign, like say an email blast, or you went to a trade show, not only are we doing it with these updates to find, quickly find, okay, well maybe that was a different refresh of Panda, something like that. But now you have the capability of going, okay, well, let's create another one and email newsletter, right? So you can get it into all sorts of different opportunities, or at the same time as we just upped our campaign budget on our AdWords campaign, and here's a note that we just did that. So it's a reminder to yourself too sometimes to go, hey, I did this. I wonder if that affected anything within my reporting. So.
Yeah, I would quickly add to that if you do decide to run a AdWords campaign, or even if you just want to track, what's going on with, say, contact form or free member sign up, I did a study on people signing up for a newsletter versus, say, a free membership to a group, and hands down, the free membership got way much exposure in terms of people actually signing up, and it was something real simple like, we just need your name and your email address and become a free member today. And in terms of that, I've got conversion tracking. This particular client has an AdWords campaign that I've set up for them, and their conversion rate is at 100%. So, I mean, you know, for me, that just makes sense. That I think sometimes if you put yourself in the seat of the customer or the user or the client, and you try to look at it from their perspective, and, well, what do they want to see on your website, or what do they want to participate in, I think that gives a business owner a better perspective of what they can do as a business owner on their website or for their marketing campaign, so that they can better interact with that user or that client.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the other report I really enjoy looking at, you know, talking about, you know, the flow. We don't have, you know, the goals set up. So basically, you get down here at the bottom left, and you went down to goals. Basically, what you would have to have is admin or admin rights to be able to set up goals. Mine, I've actually asked Mike just for user permissions, so I can't show you guys how to set up a goal. But that's exactly, you know, we would just come in here, and then the other part would be actually, let's just walk you through the admin real quick. Is so when we're actually in here, in the admin tab, when you're wanting to set up a goal, say you want to actually track a contact page, or you want to track maybe a PDF download from your site on a book that you wrote or something, you would click on goals, and you'd actually have a tab that says new goal, and then you'd actually fill out the information of what you want to track. Pretty easy to do, and then you end up getting it back in the reporting section. And that gives you even further granularity that you can see, okay, you know, when Molly saw it, says, oh, I got 100% conversions, you know, she knows that if she sends a certain amount, it probably took you a while to get to that level of 100% conversions by understanding the page flow. You know, where did the visitor go? How did they get to that place of conversion? And we can see real quickly, even with this one, I've just kind of done a segmentation of the organic traffic from Google, and just looking at some of the pages that they landed on and came through on. So when we looked at some of the old search queries, like for example, you know, personal injury, Marina Del Rey, right? So when you start looking into that kind of data, you just it basically helps you when you start going, okay, well, where else did they go? Like if I go and highlight through this traffic, where else did my visitor experience go? Did they drop off? Did they actually go to a locations page, or did they actually fill out a contact form? And you know, if you have your goal set up, then there's other ways you can filter this data. What do you think of these type of reports, Molly, as far as users?
Yeah, I think they're very insightful, and it's one of the types of things that, you know, the data is there, so why not analyze it? It does take a little extra effort to go in and, you know, get Google Analytics set up, get the tracking code installed on the website, and go in, set up different goals, set up funnels. That's something else that a business owner might decide to do, is set up funnels. But really go in and really take a snapshot of what is going on, not only in terms of the website, but what's going on with social, and what's going on with mobile, and what's going on with video, and really looking at this data and going, okay, well, this is what's going on. Okay, now that I have this data and I know, well, where are my visitors coming from? What are they doing when they visit my website? And then going, okay, well, I really want my users or my visitors to do this when they go to the website. And so when you have insights like this that Google Analytics provide, then at that point you can go in and go, okay, well, I want to set up a goal. I want a user to do X whenever they go to my website. And so that's one of the really useful things that Google Analytics, I tell people all the time. And interestingly enough, I have some clients that they're like, I never really even thought about what, you know, why Google Analytics data would be even pertinent to what I'm doing, because I'm just not sure how to analyze it. But I think when a business owner finally realizes, hey, Google Analytics provides a lot of insights that otherwise you'd never know, you know, what's going on your website or what's going on social, or, well, if I'm able to ascertain, well, this is what's going on, this is what I want my user to do, you can actually go back to that web page or video or social marketing or whatever you're doing, and you can adjust it to where you can make the user, or I wouldn't say make, but suggest to the user, this is really what I want you to do whenever you go to my web page or my video or social. I want you to interact with me. And that actually goes into something I like to call as engagement marketing, where, you know, we really want that user, when they go and they visit a web page, or they visit you on YouTube, or they visit you on social, we want that user to interact with you. And the reason we want that is because when you are able to take a web page or video or social or an email or text or however you're marketing to your audience, and you're able to interact with that person, you create a connection. And when you create a connection, then you have the opportunity to sell to that person. And I tell people all the time that it really is not best practices to pitch your idea or your services or what it, you know, your products, whatever you're doing. If you create that interaction whenever you engage with somebody, you've pretty much already made the sale, because you've created trust, you've created authority, you've created an interaction where that customer feels comfortable coming to you. And maybe they may not buy from you immediately. It might be the second, third, or fourth time. That goes into remarketing, which I know that's a whole nother hangout.
We could do a hangout on remarketing for sure.
But it really is about creating that interaction with that customer. And when you create that interaction, it makes them feel at ease. And that is the whole point of selling, is you make that customer, that client, feel comfortable to interact with you, to ask you questions, to, you know, recommend you. And that's one of the things that I've actually found with social media and video marketing, is that when you create that interaction with that person, they will actually take your business, your concept, your product, whatever it is you're doing, and they'll share it with their network.
Yeah.
And when you have that type of influence on a user, a person, where they're going to go out and publicly recommend, hey, I was on this lawyer's website, I chatted with them, this is something else I recommend to a lot of people. A lot of people don't use chat features, they don't think it's important. I've actually found that it's very important to give users options, meaning let them email you, let them call you, let them text you, let them chat with you, let them leave a voicemail on your website. Give them options on how they want to interact with your business, because when you do that, there's a really good chance you're going to get more interactions, which means you're going to have more opportunities to sell to people who are visiting you online. Absolutely,
and you can learn from that experience too. So you know, as you know, they come through the funnel, you make those modifications that help them even further. One of the things I have got, as you were talking about, like even mobile versus desktop, I wanted to pull in this report, which is basically the overview dashboard for mobile. We found that over here off to the left underneath audience, mobile overview. And so what this is a breakdown of, okay, so I've got desktop and mobile, and they're both pretty heavy together. You know, so there's some tablet in here too. But then the other thing, when we talked about even like the goals, you know, so we're going back to tracking this, you can easily, once the goals are set up, now you start to get the data numbers. So especially in our case, it's not e-commerce, it's more of a business, or sorry, a lead transaction that basically is going to come through a contact form. So we'll just want to be able to figure out, okay, did they go to the contact page? And then if you have a form that goes to a thank you page, you can also put that into the funnel. So then you can also see that they got to the contact us page, but they also filled out the form. There's other ways that you can track your telephone number as well. Molly, I think it was with, you know, I haven't played a lot with the telephone numbers, the trackable telephone numbers, but I think this might actually be something that could be powerful for the attorneys.
It is, and I would add to that that if a organization does decide to use Google AdWords, they do have something known as just call campaigns where the whole purpose is to get that person to call versus going to a website and visiting them online. So that's, again, a whole other hangout, but it's really, I think it's really mainly about getting that user to contact the business owner. And however, whatever vehicle we can use to get that user to interact with the website owner, the business owner, that's what we need to implement. But call tracking is definitely very important. Call-only campaigns on Google AdWords is definitely a consideration that business owners might want to do if they decide that they want, that's the type of traffic they want. They want people to call them versus going to a website. Those are all different considerations that a business owner should contemplate.
Absolutely, and there's a new test that I heard Google's doing right now with all the the plumbers and service industry, and I think rumor is if they do that in San Francisco and it goes well, it goes to the rest of the United States first. But then I think that they're also talking about putting lawyers into that spectrum as well.
They are. This is a beta test that's going on right now in San Francisco. Essentially, what's happening is, and this is going into off-page optimization, but all the different business directories like Yelp and Angie's List and Super Pages, and there's like probably 200 different offline business directories. But Google recently has come to the realization that hey, we've got these businesses that are online, they're on Google My Business, they're using all these different tools. Why aren't we promoting them? And so what they've done is they've started a beta test in San Francisco where they are featuring handymen and roofers and I think plumbers. Those are the 3 different categories that they selected initially. But what's going to happen, what I foresee happening, is they're going to go through this beta test, they're going to monitor the results, and essentially what happens right now, if you're in the San Francisco area and you type, I need a plumber in San Francisco, not only the listings for hours comes up and organic, but they actually are now making recommendations based on the data that they have of plumbers and handymen and roofers in San Francisco. So what I foresee happening is when they go through this beta test and they see, oh, okay, people are searching for these particular type of industries, we're making recommendations. Now we're making connections. We're connecting people who need a service with service providers, and they're going to grow that to different industries, lawyers, beauticians, florists, bakeries, retailers, different people who provide different services, to where literally not only is Google a search engine, but the search engine is actually going to start making recommendations to a user on if they need a particular product or service, and that actually goes into the realm of local. Again, that's a whole other hangout that we could talk about, but going into local marketing and optimizing it, there's a term called SOMO-LO. It stands for Social Mobile Local. That is something for a business owner to consider, that they really need to optimize themselves for all these different platforms, because whether they realize it or not, people are looking for them on mobile, they are looking for them on social, they are looking for them as a local aspect, and if you're not there, if you're not set up, you're missing out on business, and that's the short version.
And the other thing is the review process. From what I understand, it's pretty intense to qualify, though, because they go through all of your reviews, talk with some of your clients.
That's correct. Right now, since it is such a new program, they want to make sure that the service providers that they offer are qualified. And I mean, that makes sense, because if Google's coming out and publicly recommending a service provider, they want to make sure that they're certified, they're honest, they're able to provide the service that they say they can provide, and it goes into, again, their credibility. That's what it's all about. It's all about building your online credibility, and that ties into, well, is your website optimized? Is your social media marketing campaign optimized? Is your AdWords campaign optimized? Are you using Google Analytics? Are you using Google My Business? Are you using all the free tools that Google provides for you to optimize yourself on the web? And if you are, and we see, hey, they've got positive reviews, we can contact some of these customers and actually verify, yes, they used this person, they were satisfied with their service or their product or whatever it was they offered, then they're gonna reward that business owner and give them the opportunity to get more clients.
Yeah. I put up on the screen the Google My Business starting page. Literally, it's so easy to, if you haven't done this, I would definitely recommend doing it. You get full control of your listing, so then you can also take advantage of your hours of operation. All of your reviews go in that, so that you can actually reply to those reviews. It does a lot of neat things, and then also with that you get the capability to have the YouTube, so that now you have attached to your profile your videos for your business, that if you were a plumber or you were, well, in our case, an attorney, we have those type of videos, our call to action. So we start looking. I do a Google search again for even Riverside personal injury lawyer. I want to actually, I'd like to see a Riverside, California video that's coming up right in here. If I click over here for videos, I probably end up getting a few of them. But then, how as an attorney could I optimize for helping that out, helping that person out in a different way? Like, some ways people like just to call, text, or fill out a form. All these different ways of communication. Sometimes people don't want to read; they just want you to actually speak. And it also, at the same time, brings that trustworthy fact, the authoritative, I'm going to go see this person because I actually trust them online too. For your guys' case.
I totally agree with that, William. And I would just quickly add to that a lot of people they don't think reviews hold a lot of weight, and they actually do. In fact, Google has an entire platform dedicated to reviews. It's called Google Local Guides. If you're not familiar with it, essentially the way the program works is if you're a user and you go out and you review X number of websites, they have a different tier system. I don't know the logistics of each different tier, but you can just go Google Local Guides. You'll find the website, and they actually reward users for going out and making reviews. So with that being said, that justifies why it's so important to go out and ask reviews. And and I've seen this happen before, like, oh, I don't know if I should go ask for a review. And I'm like, what's the big deal? I mean, if they want to make a review, great. If they don't, that's fine too. But give the client the opportunity to go make a review. And what I mean by that is, if you provide a free consultation, ask for a review. You provide a service, ask for a review. You send out a receipt, ask for a review. It's not, it's not out of line if you provide a service or a product to somebody to just say, hey, how did I do? Go on Google Reviews and ask for a review. And it's real simple to get your link. All you got to do is log into your account, just Google your business, your knowledge graph panel will show up. It'll say right there, make a review. You click the make a review button, you get the URL, copy it, put it on receipts or emails, or even brick and mortar locations. They could just say, hey, review us on Google, and put the link right there and let them make a review of your business.
Yeah. Basically, it's feedback from that person, that actually worked with you, and it's going to be the best. And there's a lot of people out there, and there's a lot of just reviews scams out there, and different people out there trying to do some cool stuff with your reviews. But at the end of the day, like Molly mentioned, just asking it sometimes just is easy enough. Hey, can you give me a review? You hear it even in the doctor's office or anywhere else. Your plumber comes by and says, hey, I'm glad I could help you out. You can give me a review. So, after the thing's done, if they're already happy with you, more than likely, or they're probably going to go do it themselves. They're going to go find you because they were so happy with your service that they're going to go and just add that review. But like Molly said, making it available to them, making it easy to them, being able to just click on the link and give a review is super important.
Well, and I'm just going to quickly address, Mike made a quick comment in our chat, and he's saying, is asking for a review soliciting? No, it's not. Asking for a review is actually the same model that Google uses to get feedback from users. And the reason Google asks for feedback from users on a variety of different products, AdWords, analytics, whatever, my business, is they want that feedback so that they can learn. Because if they can learn about what the user's experience is, then guess what? They can make it better. And so that's one of the important things I think is crucial about getting reviews, getting feedback from people. It's because you can learn from them, well, what was their experience? And if it was a negative experience, well, what can I do to make it a better experience? Again, I participate on several different platforms that Google offers, and I'm constantly getting, surveys or questionnaires, or, what did you think about this Hangout? Or what do you think we can do to improve our community? And I think if, Google is using this as a model to improve themselves and improve their products, I think that serves as a pretty good example for business owners that they should be doing the same thing.
Yeah, and I think that there's ways to do ask for that review too professionally, when and where I think are appropriate. But I think at the same time is you don't want. I mean, there's so many different things out there. People are incentivized. Hey, I'll give you a $100 gift card for a review. That's not what we're after. We're after real stuff. What did you do for that person, and how did they actually interpret your service you provided?
Well, and I'd actually add to that that when you have reviews for your website or your service online, it actually carries over to Google My Business. You can actually go in there and manage your reviews, which 4 or 5 years ago you couldn't do. It was they were there, and if it was good or bad, that was just it. Well, that's not the case anymore. With Google My Business, you can actually go in and manage reviews. And a lot of people I've had ask me about negative reviews, and they get really freaked out. They're like, oh, I've got this negative review on my profile. What can I do about it? And I actually had a real live case scenario back in 2012 where a client approached me like, I've got all these negative reviews. What can I do to fix them? I said, well, why don't you just reach out to the person who made the review and find out what went wrong? Find out what can you do to correct whatever went wrong. And I think when a business owner just takes a problem head on and addresses it and tries to work with a client or work with somebody who maybe they had a negative experience, that's going to make that person feel like, hey, well, maybe I should give this business a second chance. Maybe I was having an off day, or I didn't feel good that day, or I had gotten some bad news and it carried over into my review for that business. So I think that's something also important for a business owner. I know we're getting near the end of our time here, but I just quickly want to mention Google Map listings. When you do a Google search, you see all those listings that tie in, and also going back to reviews. Reviews also carries over into Google AdWords, where if you decide to use Google AdWords and you've got reviews, there's an extension that you can use that will actually display your reviews. But going into Google Maps, I really would love to see a hangout about Google Maps optimization. I get questions all the time about how can I get on the top listings for Google Maps. It's really important to me. So maybe in the future when we have a little bit more time, we can dive into that subject.
Yeah, especially because I know that there's a lot of there are a lot of questions right now, especially on the 3-pack. The movement from having the 7-pack listing to now the 3-pack and the new the UI or UX for just the design. So when we actually click on it, it takes us into a whole different landscape now. But we're going to start seeing, I think, a lot more customization in here. Giving us the stars like Molly was talking about. Here's some more of those stars right here. So your reviews kind of pull up. So like all of these guys that are listed here in the top, for this one's just personal injury, Marina Del Rey, California. So all those attorneys that are basically doing that, you have the opportunity to start getting yourself some reviews, and then you can actually start listing up just like these guys. They're 4, 5 stars. A lot of people just have no reviews, but I think the legal space and getting a review might be a difficult one to catch. If I was actually doing something and I bought a product, it's probably a little bit different than getting a testimonial from somebody like that. But I wouldn't know because I haven't really actually played on that side as much for marketing. So
I agree with you. It could be a little more difficult for service providers to get a review versus, say, somebody who's selling products. But I really look at it like it's more about the user experience, meaning, did they have a good experience? And if they didn't have a good experience, what can I do as a business owner to correct that? And so that's why I think information like that is crucial to a business owner, is you really have to take the good with the bad. You know, I mean, we live in a world where, you know, it is what it is. And for me, you know, I've ran into most of my clients are very satisfied with my service. They've come out, they publicly have recommended me on social and reviews and whatever. But, you know, I go with the term that you can't make everybody happy. You know, I do my best, and that's all you can expect from somebody. And that's all you can expect from a business owner, is for them to do their best. And if we can take some of the tools that Google has given us to make that user experience as friendly as we can, to optimize it, to provide our service or product or whatever it is you're providing, that's really what we're here to do at the end of the day.
Absolutely, 100%. We're out of time, but basically I want to wrap it up here and let everybody know that next Friday I'm going to have Mike running the controls. So today I actually took the controls. That's why my logo does not look like me. So we're gonna follow this up with other hangouts, I hope, every Friday, same time, same bat channel. We've got well, there's going to be some neat guests. I'll just say it that way. We've got a lot of people that are waiting to kind of jump in here and help you guys out. So again, it's been fantastic, great show. Molly, thanks again for coming on board with us. All right, I'm going to stop the broadcast. Thank you guys.
No problem. Thanks so much, William.